Well, how would people in America feel if somebody turned George Washington into a vampire?
There's no evidence to suggest he really was a vampire. But for a father of his country, Vlad Dracula had some ghoulish habits. In these parts, he's known by another name, Vlad Tepes. In English, Vlad the Impaler.
If anyone displeased him, he punished them, tortured them, killed them in very cruel ways. He had his enemies impaled on stakes. He boiled people alive. He tortured people, starved them to death, drove nails into their heads, all kinds of horrific tortures.
Vlad the Impaler's bloodlust often came in the defense of his homeland. That was bad news for invading armies.
The Sultan of Turkey was advancing on Dracula's or Vlad's capital city. Vlad captured a number of Turkish soldiers, had them impaled, and put them along the main route into the city, so that when the Sultan approached the city, he was so horrified by this sight and so terrified by it that he decided to withdraw. So Vlad employed a kind of psychological warfare and used impalement as a way of deterring the advancing enemy. And it worked.
Some of Vlad's exploits were recorded using a new invention called the printing press. A rare copy of a 15th century book about Vlad is at the Rosenbach Museum, the same place where Bram Stoker's Dracula notes reside.
It's one of the early printed books. It's from the same sort of time as the Gutenberg Bible. A lot of the sort of atrocities that are attributed to him come from this book. And there are things like, and on one day, 2 monks from a nearby town came to visit the court of Vlad Dracula, and they, did not take off their hats. And so Vlad nailed their hats to their heads and then had them impaled. It's sort of a list of atrocities.
We have woodcuts of the guy, and actually this is one of them right here. That's Vlad and his little impaled forest on either side. So this woodcut, when I found out, he was around right when the printing press was pretty much invented. So these woodcuts were front page material, and so he was kind of like one of the first tabloid stars in a way.
Eventually, Vlad got his comeuppance at the hands of his Turkish enemies. Killed in battle, his head was taken to Turkey as a trophy for the Sultan. In Romania, he was and is a martyr.
Looking at it from the Romanian perspective, yes, he was a cruel ruler, but every country has had its cruel rulers. But his cruelty was sort of part and parcel of his determination to defend his homeland.
Vlad's headless body was laid to rest at this monastery on Snagov Island in southern Romania.
The whole lake of Snagov is very mysterious. There's something magic there. You can feel it. There's a forest there.
Evidently, that force would not allow Vlad to rest in peace. When his tomb was excavated in 1931, a bizarre discovery was made that would later add fuel to the vampire mystery.
In the grave where he was supposed to be, they did not find any body whatsoever. The monks may have been responsible for what, in fact, was a very nasty piece of trickery.
In the 1970s, when people started to claim that Bram Stoker had based his fictional Count Dracula on the national hero Vlad Dracula, communist dictator Nicolae Ceausescu smelled a bat. He wasn't about to let people mess with the good name of a Romanian hero. Ceausescu fought back with a public relations campaign to restore Vlad's reputation. This is the way the Romanian government wanted the world to see Vlad the Impaler. A warrior and a patriot, not a vampire. In fact, Vlad's legend did grow, but there's been no escaping that Dracula name.
Stoker tied together the vampire and Vlad Dracula, and no one is going to be able to untie that connection.
And for the most part, that's okay with Brianna Karaja, a modern-day Romanian princess who claims to be a direct descendant of Vlad the Impaler.
As long as they're having fun and they keep to the legend part of vampires, It's fine with me. Since these people really believe in vampires and things like that, here's a message for them. Beware. Beware what you wish.
Bram Stoker wouldn't believe it. Look what's happened to his Count Dracula.
If Bram Stoker were alive today, he would be absolutely amazed where you could find Dracula. He would never have imagined that you would have a cereal called Count Chocula or a duck called Duckula. The character has permeated every aspect of our culture.
For more than 100 years, Dracula has truly been immortal.
You can't kill me, Victor. I'm already dead.
It's a story that speaks to different generations in different ways.
He was a product of the late 19th century. He survived the 20th century, and now he's forging a path in the 21st.
The guy who sleeps in a coffin and turns into a bat comes from the imagination of Bram Stoker. But Stoker invented Dracula, not the vampire. Vampire stories have been around for centuries.
Vampires are often depicted as wealthy aristocrats. You know, they often have a castle in Europe. They have fabulous wardrobes. I mean, what's not to like about vampires?
Did I scare you?
What's not to like is what people really thought about vampires before Stoker came along. The rotten, decaying creatures of European folklore that would come back to life and attack the living. Vampires of fiction are much more appealing types.
The vampire sort of evolved into this creature that we think of today, this desirable yet repulsive creature.
What are you? I must know. You must tell me.
I am the monster the breathing men would kill. I am Dracula.
Before that, the vampire was this creature from folklore, this corpse that came back from the dead to feed on the living.
In Dracula, Stoker borrowed elements of the grotesque